الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد وآله وأصحابه أجمعين وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أحييكم تحية الإسلام، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sheikh began by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sending salutations, greetings from the final Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he greets you all the greetings of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
أتشرف بهذه الزيارة إلى هذا المسجد بيت من بيوت الله سبحانه وتعالى، وأسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يوفقنا في درسنا وهو درس هام عنوانه كما سمعتم وعلمتم عداوة الشيطان للإنسان.
The Sheikh is honored to be here. He's one of the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the blessings of being inside his masjid, and also to grant us the ability to be able to benefit of being inside the masjid. And today's general lecture, as has been announced, is talking about the animosity or the hatred of shaitan, of the devil towards mankind.
أكثرنا إذا سألناه قلنا له ما معنى هذا الكلام يقول معروف، الشيطان هو عدو الإنسان ويوسوس له ويؤذيه.
Many of us, when we hear this title of what's been announced, what is the animosity or the hatred of the devil towards mankind, most of us in general know the answer, that is the whisperings of the devil, the harming of the devil. Most of us have that image inside our mind of what the topic we'll be discussing.
تعودنا على هذا من طفولتنا، آباؤنا يقول انتبهوا الشيطان، احذروا الشيطان، لا تستمعوا للوسوسة، يكونوا أبناء صالحين. فقط هذا الذي نعرفه، أكثرنا هذا الذي يظنه.
So many of us, we've grown up with that culture, the habitual practice of being mentioning about shaitan, or our parents reminding us, don't follow the way of the devil, don't listen to the whisperings of the devil, do not follow the path of the devil. Most of us are used to such statements which are made, and most of us are aware of what the general title or the theme is.
وكثير من الناس يظن أنه يقول إذا مشيت في طريقي هو سيمشي في طريقي، وهذا مفهوم خاطئ.
And many people, they think that the actual devil physically maybe walks in our path or walks in our way, and this is a wrong interpretation, a wrong understanding to have.
يظن أنه مثل أي عدو، هذا عدو مختلف.
They think it's just like another normal enemy that we may have, but this enemy is totally different or separate from the normal enemies that we may face.
هذه العداوة حتى نقرب إلى الأذهان عداوة من حين الولادة إلى حين الممات.
We find that this animosity or this hatred that we find is a different type of hatred or animosity that begins even before birth or during birth or the time of birth until the end of the individual.
من حين أن تولد ينخسك الشيطان فيستهل ذلك المولود يصرخ، هذه نغزة من الشيطان.
So we find that even at the time of birth that we find that there is a poking or a pricking of shaitan that he touches the child with, and that wailing, that crying, or that screaming of the child is the touch or the pinching of the shaitan that takes place for the child even at the time of birth.
لماذا يفعل هذا حتى مع الطفل الصغير؟ هو ما فعل معه شيء، لأن العداوة أصلا من لدن آدم عليه السلام عليه وعلى ذريته إلى يوم القيامة.
So why does the shaitan do this towards a small child, a child which has no benefit as such, or to harm a child in this manner? It goes back right to the beginning, because he has animosity or hatred towards Adam and towards the lineage or the genealogy of Adam, so that hatred stems and continues to be displayed upon all the children of Adam.
الوقت قصير لهذه المحاضرة ولا تكفي محاضرات، ولذا سندخل في صلب الموضوع.
We find that the time is quite limited. We don't have enough time to cover all of the whole theme, so we're going to enter into the crux of the issue of the topic and to take that on board.
الشيطان له عداوة حقيقية وأذية حقيقية تصل إلى القتل وإلى السحر وإلى أمور كثيرة.
We find that the hatred or the animosity that shaitan has is a hatred which is a fact, which is a reality that reaches up to the levels of murdering, of killing, and likewise magic, etc. That all of this returns back to the hatred of shaitan.
وإن كان أقواها هو الوسوسة.
And the most strongest of the paths or the traps of shaitan that we find is the path or the trap of whispering towards the individual.
وهو أقسم بعزة الله سبحانه وتعالى أنه سيغوي بني آدم أجمعين إلا عباد الله المخلصين.
Indeed, we find according to the Quran whereby he made an oath, he made a promise that I'm going to send all of, if not all the children of Adam astray, or deviate them away from the path, except for the righteous or the pious servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
وفصل الأمر قال لآتينهم عن أيمانهم وعن شمائلهم ولا تجد أكثرهم شاكرين.
And he then increased in the affair, and he mentioned that indeed I will come to them from the right, from the left, from the front, and from behind. I will attack them from all of these different angles, and many of them will not be grateful towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
كلنا قد سمع عن السحر وعن المس وعن الصرع والحسد.
All of us have heard about magic, about attacking of shaitan, about epilepsy, about attacks of shaitan, about jealousy. All of us in general are familiar with such titles and themes.
فإذا قلت أن شيطانا قتل إنسان يقول لا يصل الأمر إلى هذه الدرجة ما نصدق.
So we find that when it's sometimes made a statement that shaitan led this person to kill someone, etc., many of us will pose that question, won't affirm that, won't actually have that belief, that conviction that is it possible that shaitan to physically to kill someone or to get somebody killed? Is that plausible? Can that really actually happen?
وإذا قيل أن شخص أمامك جالس يتكلم معك ممكن يكون شيطان تقول كيف يعقل هذا أن يكون مثل البني آدم هكذا ما يصدق.
So also that if it's said to a person that this person that you're speaking to who's engaging with you is actually a devil, is actually a shaitan, most of us will be taken aback, will not believe that. How can that physically be? That the human beings that we know in general nature, this human being is actually a shaitan who is in front of us.
إذا رأينا إنسان يصرخ في الأرض يختنق نقول ربما يخنقه شيطان نقول لا كيف هذا.
So we find that sometimes the person will be screaming and shouting and rolling around on the floor and strangling themselves, etc. And we said to this person, this is shaitan that's doing this to the person. Most of us would not believe that or accept that.
فنأخذه إلى المستشفى بدلا أن نعالجه بالقرآن.
And we find that many of us will take him to the hospital and try to find some medical treatment rather than the real treatment should be returning back to the Quran and trying to cure the person via the verses of the Quran.
الشيطان يقاتل في صف الكفار ضد المسلمين.
We find that shaitan fights in the path of disbelieving individuals against the Muslims. We come amongst one of their ranks fighting against the Muslims, fighting against the believers.
ففي معركة بدر وقف الشيطان مع حزبه في صف قريش أمام صف المسلمين.
So we find in the famous battle of Badr that we find that shaitan, he joined the troops of the Quraysh and began to face against the troops of the Muslim believing in the individuals.
الله سبحانه وتعالى يقول وأجلب عليهم بخيلك ورجلك وشاركهم في الأموال والأولاد وعدهم.
We find that in the Quran mentioned that gather your cavalry and muster your army and come and attack these, come towards these individuals and attack them and take them over.
ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما يقول له خيل وله رجال وله سلاح.
Ibn Abbas, he mentions about this that indeed shaitan, he has horses, he has cavalry, he has weaponry, that all at his exposure there that he uses to come towards or attack any mankind.
ولكنه ما كان يتوقع أن يرى ملائكة فلما تراءت الفئتان نكص على عقبيه.
So they were not expecting that they would see the angels would come down, they would come and hope at that time. So when the angels came and they appeared, you find that they returned back on their heels and they fled, they away.
وقال لمن معه إني أرى ما لا ترون إني أخاف الله وأرى.
So you find the Quraysh were not able to visualize the angels that appeared at that time, but Shaitan visualized them. And he said, and he highlighted to them, indeed I see what you do not see.
وكذلك ما وقع للرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم حينما وقف ذات يوم يصلي مع الصحابة فرأوه تقدم ثم تأخر ثم مد يده وتعجبوا من هذا الفعل.
Also what occurred or took place at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, one occasion he's offering the prayer, and whilst inside the prayer he took a step forward and he took a step back, and something that the companions were taken aback with it. Why is he carrying in mind that's leading them to behave in this manner?
وهذا ما يريده الشياطين يفعلون هكذا مع شخص حتى يأخذه أهله عند الطبيب ثم بعد ذلك يذهب في مستشفى الأمراض العقلية.
So thus we find that this is what Shaitan, actually the long-term plan of Shaitan is, that he wants the person or the people to believe that this person is affected with some form of medical illness, and then they return to the hospital. Eventually the hospital then begins to treat them or begins to actually section them off and place them into a mental institute of mental illnesses or diseases that's affected, according to them, that's affected their mind.
يبكي ذلك المسكين ويصرخ ويقول رأيت بعيني وأسمع أصواتهم يقول لا هذه هيئات أنت أصبحت مجنونا.
So you find that the person who's affected with this, he begins to weep and cry, begin to complain and say, I've seen this, but the people don't believe him. They say that this person basically lost their senses and become a mad individual.
خطورة واضحة وحقيقية.
And these are steps or symbols that are clear, that have been visualized and have seen what's happened to people.
يعني الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم واقف يصلي ويناجي الله سبحانه وتعالى والصحابة معه وملائكة يصلون، ومع هذا تجرأ ذلك العفريت لأن يريد أن يحرق وجه الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم.
So you find the reality is there. You mentioned that if it happened to the Prophet ﷺ, he's standing inside his prayer and with the companions are there, and you find that ifrit, this type of shaitan, is coming and trying to harm him in this manner. It's a reality, it's a fact, and evidence is pointing out that this is something which actually occurred and something which can occur as well.
هم درجات ولهم قوة كل واحد أقوى من الآخر.
So you find that they have gradings and levels as well. Each one of them which goes beyond them may have an extra element of strength and more powerful that they become.
وحتى نعرف شيء من قوتهم كانوا يسترقون السماء.
So we know some of the strength that they had, that they're able to take some elements of the information from the heavens, they're able to snatch it away from the heavens, able to take that information.
ماذا يقول المولى سبحانه وتعالى في سورة الجن؟
What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mention inside Surah Al-Jinn?
وأنا لمسنا السماء فوجدناها ملئت حرسا، ليس فقط حرسا شديدا، وليس هذا فقط وشهوبا.
We find that indeed when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes them, when they ascended, they found that there were guardians there. And not just guardians who were guarding it, but severe, strong guardians who were there protecting the lower heavens. And also we find that there were meteorites or comets that are being thrown upon any individual, anything that tries to travel up to the heavens.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ليس بحاجة لهؤلاء الملائكة الأقوياء ولا تلك الشهب، ولكن الله سبحانه وتعالى يريد أن يبين أن لهم قوة وأن لهم خطر.
So you find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no need for the comets or the meteorites or the angels there to protect, but this just is trying to highlight the impact of the nature of the strength of these individuals trying to come past, and likewise the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
يعني حتى في الملائكة هناك من هو أشد من الآخر. نعم.
Likewise, we find amongst the angels as well, there are those angels in grades and in levels, and those who may be stronger than the other previous angels or the lesser angels.
وهل هؤلاء أيضا يحتاجوا إلى شهب حتى تنقطع الأرض الشياطين؟ نعم.
And also they need these meteorites, these comets to protect or to throw them down upon the shayateen, upon the devils.
نعم. إذن خطرهم عظيم ولهم قوة.
So you find that indeed that their threat is severe, and they have a strength with them as well to cause harm upon the human being.
تصل إلى قتل الإنسان.
That reaches even to have the ability to kill a human being.
وهذا الصحابي الأنصاري الذي كان مع الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم في غزوة الخندق.
We find that talking about one of the companions from amongst the Ansar who was at the Battle of Khandaq that we find.
وكان حديث عهد بزواج، يعني متزوج جديد.
And you find that this person had just recently got married.
فاستأذن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم قال يا رسول الله أنا أذهب إلى بيتي وأرجع.
He sought permission from the Prophet ﷺ, I just want to go and see my family, go home, and then I'll return back immediately.
هو في مقام مجاهد في هذا الوقت وأجره عظيم وصحابي.
And so this individual is in a state of performing jihad in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His reward is immense, and at the same time he's a companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
يذهب إلى بيته فيجد امرأته واقفة عند الباب.
So when he returns home, he finds that his wife is outside the door, standing there.
فيغضب، الغيرة أخذته.
And he became angry, and this anger was out of ghira, out of respect, immense respect he has for his family. But how can his wife be outside the house in this manner?
ليس مثل الآن واحد ممكن يجد أولاده في السوق يمشون هنا ما يتغير معهم شيء.
Unlike today, we find most people don't care whether the children out in the marketplace or their families out in the marketplace that they're walking around. That's the average people, unfortunately, we find at the moment.
فقالت له انتظر ادخل وانظر ماذا في داخل البيت.
And obviously she recognized that he was upset with her, and she said to him, just wait, enter the house and see what's inside the house, what drove me to come out the house.
فدخل فنظر على فراشه فوجد ثعبان على فراشه.
And when he entered, he found a great big python, a snake, was sitting there around the bed or around the area.
فرفع رمحه ورمى ذلك الثعبان.
And he grabbed his spear and he threw it towards the snake.
فقالوا ما ندري من مات قبل الآخر هو أو الآخر الاثنين ماتوا في نفس اللحظة.
And thus we find that as he threw the spear, you find that the snake attacked him as well, and they both were attacked, and we don't know who died first, whether the snake passed away first or the actual human being, the biting of the poisonous snake passed away.
وصل الخبر إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم.
And this information then relayed back to the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم.
ماذا قال مثل ما نفعل مثل هذا الزمان.
And what did the Prophet ﷺ advise? What did he say?
هل قال لك ما نحن نفعل في هذا الزمان نقول نأخذ المستشفى نسوء ننظر ماذا سبب الموت.
Is it like many of us today that did they go and take the body back and try to find out what was the autopsy, what was the reason for the death of this individual?
لماذا توقف قلبه فجأة ينظر إلى طبيب؟ لا.
And did the person go and return back, all of a sudden something happened, return back to the doctor to find out what occurred to them?
مباشرة قال الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم ماذا؟ إن بالمدينة جن قد أسلموا فإذا رأيتم مثل هذه الحيات فحرجوا عليها ثلاثة.
So thus we find that the Prophet ﷺ, he reminded and mentioned that indeed inside Medina there are jinn, people amongst the jinn who are accepted in Islam. So when you enter into your dwellings, into your home, then remind them 3 times or tell them to leave your precinct or your dwellings.
إذا قد يصل الأمر إلى القتل.
So we find that this leads on to any action, any killing that can take place.
وننظر في قول المصطفى عليه الصلاة والسلام إن بالمدينة جنا قد أسلموا يعني هذا الجن ممكن قد يكون مسلم.
So thus if we look at in great detail the statement of the Prophet ﷺ that indeed inside Medina there are jinn who become Muslims, showing that amongst the jinn there are those individuals who believe who become Muslims.
فكيف لو كان كافرا؟
So imagine if a Muslim jinn done that action. Imagine if it's a non-Muslim jinn, how strong or how powerful it could be.
كيف استطاع هذا الجن يقتل هذا الصحابي؟
How was this jinn able to kill a virtuous companion?
لهذا نحن لابد أن نصحح أيضا معلوماتنا.
That's what we need to begin to rectify our own knowledge, our own interpretation, our own understanding.
نحن لسنا صحابة.
Because obviously this took place to companions and we're not companions.
ما نفعل مثل ما كانوا يفعلون في العبادة.
And the level of ibadah, the worship that they had and the devotion they had in comparison to us.
خشوعنا يكاد يكون شبه معلوم.
And as we find that our submissiveness, our devotion, our commitment is clearly deficient or weak in comparison to them.
المعاصي والذنوب التي حولنا.
The sins and the disobedience that we're surrounded by.
ثم بعد ذلك الواحد يقول لك أنا ما يهمني أي جن ولا أي شيطان نقول لا تنبه.
Then a person is able to boastfully say that no jinn or no shaitan can harm me. The person should pay attention to this.
لا نخوف الناس.
We don't want to scare people at the same time.
ولكن لابد على الإنسان أن يحذر.
But at the same time, a person should be in a state of warning, being aware of the situation.
نعم. لماذا؟
Why? What is the reason for this?
من يعطينا جواب في هذا؟
Who is going to be able to answer this for us?
من يعطينا جواب؟ سريع نريد.
Quickly, want an answer.
Because they're dangerous. Because the jinn are dangerous.
عدو خطر لكن نحن ما فكرنا في هذه الخطوة.
That's right. We haven't thought about the real essence, the element of this danger that we face. We don't seem to perceive it or understand it.
أكثر ما تسمعون ماذا؟ إن كيد الشيطان كان ضعيفا.
Most that we hear was mentioned inside the Quran. For example, indeed, the plotting, the planning of shaitan is weak.
كل ما تقول الإنسان الشيطان يقول لك إن كيد الشيطان كان ضعيفا.
So every time you remind a person, say something, the person they say, look, the plotting, the planning of shaitan is weak.
صحيح أو لا؟
Is that correct?
لكن ما هي الآية؟ لماذا ما نقرأ الآية كاملة؟
Why don't we read the complete verse to help us to understand?
الذين آمنوا يقاتلون في سبيل الله صحيح والذين كفروا يقاتلون في سبيل الطاغوت فقاتلوا أولياء الشيطان إن كيد الشيطان كان ضعيفا. إذا قاتلنا وحاربنا ووقفنا بتوحيدنا وهذه الأمور هنا يكون كيده ضعيف. أما إذا كنا ضعفاء فيكون كيده قوي.
Thus we find, if we ponder and we reflect upon the whole verse in its context, so we find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that those individuals who believe, they fight in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those who disbelieve, they fight in the path of shaitan. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, فَقَاتِلُوا أَوْلِيَاءَ الشَّيْطَانِ. Fight and strive against the allies, the friends of shaitan. Indeed, the plotting and planning of shaitan is weak. So we have to make that effort of striving and struggling. If our own iman, our own faith is weak, then we find it will not have an impact in trying to fight against any shaitan.
والرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم بين لنا أحاديث كثيرة أفعال الشيطان مع الإنسان.
We find that the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned or expressed so many different narrations talking about the actions of shaitan.
إذا أردت أن تدخل بيتك هو ومن معه ينتظرون هل تقول بسم الله أو ما تقول.
And as we find even when the person before entering into the house, the shaitan is waiting there to see whether the person enters via or with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not.
فإذا ما قلت دخل هو ومن معه كم هم الذين معه الله أعلم.
How many enter with that individual in the house? Whether it's one or two or more, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows how many will enter with that individual.
أكلوا معه.
And that's if the person will begin to eat, and they'll take the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then they will eat with him. The shaitan will eat with that individual.
قد لا تقبل ضيفا من ضيوفك. قد لا تقبل ضيف عليك هذه الليلة.
And then why you may not want to accept a guest to come at night for you to reside with you.
لو قلنا تعالى يا أحمد خذ 4 من إخوانك اذهب بهم العشاء قل ما أستطيع.
If we said to an individual, come, let's Ahmed or an individual, a brother, to take these 4 guests and take them to your house, we're not going to be able to take care of them.
مع أنهم أناس صالحون.
Even though they are, mashallah, righteous individuals, good individuals, to take care of them.
فكيف تغفل حينما تدخل بيتك ما تقول بسم الله.
How can you become heedless and unaware and not say the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while entering the house?
وإذا دخلت الشياطين بيتك ماذا يحدث؟ هل الأمر سهل؟ لا ليس سهل.
So if shaitan enters into your home, do you find this to be something trivial or something simple? Indeed, it's not a simple affair.
هم يبحثون عن طريقة حتى يصبحون قريبين منك ليؤذوك.
If they find a path or way trying to come close to you and trying to harm you.
فإذا دخلت الخلاء وما قلت بسم الله ومجنون فيك الخبائث أو نعوذ فيك الخبائث ماذا فعل؟ قد تقع في أذى والعياذ بالله.
Because we find that when we enter into the washroom, into the bathroom, into the toilet area that we find, we've been told that to make the supplication of Allah seek refuge or protection from al-khubuthi wal-khaba'ith. If we don't make that supplication, we find that any harm could befall that individual.
حتى في الحلال الذي أباحه الله سبحانه وتعالى في زوجتك إذا ما قلت بسم الله اللهم جنبنا الشيطان وجنب الشيطان ما رزقتنا شاركت كما يقول ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما.
That we find that even in the matrimonial relationship that we find the person, and he doesn't make the appropriate supplication, beginning name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he protect me and protect whatever you bestow upon us, protect the child, etc. If the person doesn't make that supplication, Ibn Abbas, he mentions that the shaitan participates or takes part in that action as well.
مسألة ليست وسوسة قلت اللهم جنبنا الشيطان ما قلت يا رب أبعد عني وسوسته ليست وسوسة.
Here we find so the affair isn't that you're asking to take away the wisdom of shaitan, you're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to push the shaitan, take him away from the individual.
تأتي في وقت النوم فتقول أذكار النوم.
That's why when a person comes to rest at night, the person should make the adhkar, the remembrance of sleep at night.
ومن أعظم الأذكار آية الكرسي.
And that's why the most greatest of remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of adhkar that we find is to recite in the ayat al-kursi, the verse of the throne.
فيجعل الله سبحانه وتعالى لك حافظا يحفظك حتى تصبح.
And thus we find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whoever recites this verse, will place a protector for that individual until that individual awakens in the morning.
يحفظني من ماذا؟ من الوسوسة. أنا نائم الآن من يوسوس لي وأنا نائم؟ لا هناك أذى حقيقي يحفظك منه.
We find that this protection is not going to be protecting you from the whispering, because here there is no whispering, you're sleeping, you're in your sleep. So here it is a physical protection for that individual that the shaitan may try to harm that individual.
ولذا كثير من الناس إذا نام بدون ذكر الله سبحانه وتعالى يأتيه ما يفزعه في نومه ويسمى الجاثوم.
And thus we find that when many individuals who don't make supplication at night or read Ayatul Kursi, you find that at night that they're troubled in their sleep, and you find maybe described in their you find something that may scare them, something that strangles them, tries to harm them, or a form of nightmare that may appear to them.
يقول الإمام ابن القيم رحمه الله تعالى يقول الشيطان ما يترك ابن آدم لحظة واحدة.
That's Ibn Qayyim mentions that Shaitan doesn't leave the human being for a split second. Does not leave the individual alone at all.
حتى في نومه يأتيه بتلك الأحلام السيئة وأنواع الآيات، فإذا جاء عند النوم فذكر وقال تلك الأذكار وأسلم نفسه لله يحفظه الله سبحانه وتعالى.
Thus we find even at time of sleeping and resting that we find that Shaitan continuously try to attack the individual, come with nightmares and try to scare the individual inside their sleep, inside their rest, unless the person makes the adhkar, makes the supplications to protect themselves.
جاء في الحديث الصحيح في صحيح مسلم ما يبين أن الشيطان يسحر العبد في كل ليلة.
And thus we find that the hadith which occurs in Sahih Muslim, that Shaitan comes to awaken or harm the individual every single night.
يقول صلى الله عليه وسلم يعقد الشيطان على قافية أحدكم إذا هو نام 3 عقد.
And thus we find that Shaitan comes to the back of the head of the individual when he's about to sleep or falling asleep and ties 3 strong knots upon the individual.
الإمام النووي في شرح صحيح مسلم يقول 3 عقد حقيقية.
Imam Nawawi, the famous scholar who explained Sahih Muslim, who mentioned that these are 3 physical actual knots which are tied, are placed upon the individual.
وهي من ضرب السحر يعني سحر.
And this is a form of magic that we find.
يعني الشياطين تسحر، نعم الجن يسحرون أيضا.
So thus we find that magic exists not just amongst human beings, but exists amongst the jinn and shaitan as well.
فإذا استيقظ العبد في الليل فذكر الله انحلت عقده.
So thus we find when the individual, when they awaken at night or awaken in the morning, we find they remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then one of the knots is untied.
فإذا توضأ انحلت عقده.
And if he performs the ablution, the wudu, you find another knot is untied.
فإذا صلى انحلت عقده الثلاثة كلها.
And then if the person stands up and offers the prayer, you find that all 3 knots have been untied or been broken.
فيصبح نشيط النفس.
And that's when the person wakes up in the morning and he's refreshed and an active soul, an active individual.
وإلا يصبح كما هو حال كثير من المسلمين يستيقظ الإنسان نائم ونعسان وتعبان.
And that's what we find, unfortunately, as many of the Muslims, they wake up in the morning in a state of fatigue or tiredness or yawning or in a miserable state because they've not performed the due actions they need to do.
من تسلط الشيطان على الإنسان أن الله سبحانه وتعالى أقدره أن يدخل داخل بدن الإنسان.
And from amongst the abilities that have been given to shaitan, the overpowering of shaitan upon the human being, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed the shaitan to enter into the body of the human being.
وعلماء أهل السنة يعتقدون بهذا الاعتقاد أن الشيطان بإمكانه أن يدخل في بدن الشخص فيصرعه أو يمرضه أو يقتله.
And thus we find that ulama Ahl Sunnah have agreed upon this, that shaitan is able to physically enter into the body of a human being and maybe to harm the human being, to make the person scream, to shout, to lose their senses, and maybe even physically to kill themselves, to take their life.
وفرقة المعتزلة هم الذين أنكروا هذا.
We find that a group amongst the Mu'tazila, those who use the rationalistic individuals, those individuals begin to deny this reality.
في هذا الزمان بدأنا نسمع من يروج هذا الكلام، يقول لا الشيطان ما يستطيع يدخل في جسم الإنسان.
And unfortunately, we find that in the present day, the moment we find there are certain individuals who begin to highlight the same belief and say it's not possible that for shaitan to enter into the body of the human being.
يقول رأينا شيخ في التلفاز بلحية يقول هذا الشيء ما يمكن أبدا نصدقه، نقول هذا كلام خاطئ.
So we find that they may have seen a sheikh on television with a beard, etc., who says that it's not possible for shaitan to enter the body of the human being. So they take this on face value and accept it and say that if this is true, shaitan cannot possess or take into the body.
هذا واضحة ومنها ما جاء في صحيح مسلم
We find that evidences regarding possession of shaitan entering the body of the human being are numerous. And amongst them that we find the evidence in the hadith inside Sahih Muslim that we find.
صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول الإنسان إذا تثاءب في صلاته جاء التثاؤب فليكظم أو يضع يده على فمه.
So you find that if a person inside the prayer, they begin to open their mouth, they begin to yawn, and then they should cover their mouth or take a garment and cover their mouth, because if they don't, then indeed shaitan enters in via the mouth of that individual.
قال فإن الشيطان يدخل.
So that we find a hadith that mentions that indeed shaitan, he enters.
واضح.
Is this clear?
الشيطان يؤذي الإنسان حتى في صلاته.
We find that shaitan harms the human being even whilst carrying out the prayer.
ليس بالوسوسة فقط.
Not just with whisperings and insinuations that shaitan may bring to the individual.
يأتي ينفخ عند دبر الشخص الذي يصلي حتى يشك أنه خرج منه ريح أو لا.
So we find that he comes and he spits or makes a sound behind the rear of the individual, which then makes the individual to begin to think that they may have broken wind or their wudu has been nullified.
هل يفعل هذا مع كل المسلمين؟ لا.
Does he do this with every single Muslim? Does he do this action?
طب لماذا يقع على بعض الناس؟
So why does he come and do this action to certain individuals, or certain types of individuals?
إما لتقصيره
Either due to the deficiency of that individual,
أو وقوعه في ذنوب ومعاصي،
or the person has entered in some form of disobedience towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala,
أو يكون ابتلاء من الله سبحانه وتعالى.
or it could be a form of a test or a trial from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
ولهذا هذا الخطاب الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم يخاطب أصحابه.
That's we find that this is an address, a speech that the Prophet ﷺ is speaking, addressing his companions.
وبين أن هذا بداية طريق الوسوسة.
And this is highlighting, this is the beginning of the path of whisperings towards the individual.
فبينهم قال إذا وجد الإنسان مثل هذا ما يترك الصلاة حتى يسمع صوتا أو ماذا يشم رائحة.
So you find that the Prophet ﷺ advised, he told us not to fall into the traps of shaitan, that one of us should not leave the prayer until the person is sure that they have passed wind, either they hear a sound or the smell, they can smell something to let them know that they've actually passed wind or broken the wudu.
إذا هذه العداوة يا الأحبة ممتدة في شتى المجالات.
So you find that this animosity is from every form of animosity, various types, is delivered or presented upon the individual.
حتى أنه يسلط أعوانه من الشياطين على الشخص المتزوج.
So you find that the shaitan send out his comrades, his allies, and his friends upon the individual, upon the married individual.
فلذا نحن نقول ما في إنسان يتزوج إلا نقول أنت في حكم المسحور.
And as we said, that when a person gets married, and the person should be aware that there is going to be a form of attacks or possession upon that individual.
لأن الساحر حينما يكتب شيء ليفرق بين الرجل وزوجته هو يريد التفريق وكذا هذا ما يريده إبليس.
And thus we find that we know that when these people get involved in magic, or the magicians that we find, Allah has made this individual to divorce his wife, and then he takes him by the hand and says that you have done well, you are my friend, you are my comrade.
إذا ما نفع أسلوب الوسوسة لجأ إلى الأذى الحقيقي.
So you find that this waswasa, this whispering, from whispering just becomes to physical actions that we can visualize, or we can see the impact or the effects of that whispering, what it leads to.
فيستغل السحرة وما علمهم من السحر.
So we find that it takes the benefit of the magicians and the magic that they've learned, or magic that they've gained.
ولذا كثير منا يظن أن السحر فقط الرجل يطلق من زوجته أو أن هذا الرجل يحب فلان أو تحبه وانتهى الموضوع.
So some may think that magic or just trying to create divorce or separation, or try to create love between a husband and wife, or a man and a woman, etc. That's what some of us may think, that magic is just based upon that.
ومن السحر أنواع كثيرة.
We find that magic is of various types and various forms.
أنتم تطلقون هنا عليه black magic.
Which what we call it black magic.
أقرب لكم المعنى فقط.
And just to help you to understand the meaning.
إذا كان هناك black magic أكيد هناك في white magic.
And so do you believe that there's black magic? So then you believe that there's the essence or reality of magic.
ما هو الوايت ماجيك؟
It was the opposite of what they call white magic.
يقولون هذا الذي يصنعونه لأرجل يحب زوجته أو إذا الإنسان مربوط يفكه يعني لعمل الخير لكن هو سحر.
So we find that we have black magic is evil magic, and white magic is something to create love and a good relationship between husband and wife, or to reconcile between people. So this magic is something good according to them, is trying to reconcile people.
العمل يصنع له شيء حتى يوفق في العمل هكذا هذا يقول له white magic. والبلاك ماجيك الذي يعمل للشر.
Hey, so we find that black magic say is useful for evil.
ولذا يستعينون بأخبث الشياطين حتى يؤذون بني آدم عن طريق السحر.
So we find that they use all evil and filthy and vile ways of carrying out this magic, this practice to harm the children in your Adam.
وقد يصل هذا الأمر إلى الجنون يصبح للشخص مجنون بالسحر.
So we find that the impact of magic can lead the person to physically to lose the senses, to become mad.
قد يقتل بالسحر.
The person could even be killed by that sorcery, that magic upon the individual.
قد يصاب بأنواع الأمراض المعروفة وغير المعروفة.
And you find a person could be afflicted with diseases which are known and diseases which are unknown.
والذي ينظر في فهارس في كتب السحرة يرى أشياء عجيبة.
So if a person looks at the encyclopedia, the context of the books or the works of the magicians, you find strange things or strange topics are mentioned there.
من الذي ينفذ هذه الأمور؟ الشياطين.
Who is the one that commands or carries out these affairs or organizes these affairs? None other than the devil.
ولذا يستنكر الكثير منا حينما يقول لك فلان الفلاني إمام المسجد أو الذي يصلي في الصف الأول يفعل أعمال غريبة. حينما تقول له ممكن يكون مسحور يقول لك لا مستحيل.
That's why many of us that we get taken aback if we see the imam doing something strange, or a person who prays in the front row, we begin to see them doing something strange. And if we say to them, this person may be possessed or some element of magic may be done upon them, many of us will just be taken aback and say, this is not possible, this is not acceptable.
هذا رجل يصلي، هذا يصوم كل يوم، هذا يتصدق، هذا لسانه دائما يذكر الله. نقول نعم ممكن.
You know, this is a person who prays on a daily basis, extra praise, a person gives charity, a person does good deeds. You know, how is that possible? You know, that this person could carry out such actions or be affected in this manner.
سحر رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم.
What more example can we ask for? If the Prophet ﷺ magic was performed and done upon him.
سحرت بعض أمهات المؤمنين كحفصة رضي الله عنها.
That we find that some of the mothers of the believers, magic was done upon them, like we find Hafsa radiallahu anha.
هذا أذى من الأنواع الأذى.
And this is a form of harm of the various formats of harming individuals.
الأصل أنه ما يقع لأني أنا أصلي.
And obviously, in reality, the person prays, etc. And in general, it doesn't happen to them.
ولكن إذا أراد الله سبحانه وتعالى امتحان لعبد قد يصاب بهذا الشيء ولكن ما يصاب مثل الشخص الآخر الذي لا يصلي، يكون يعامل فيه بلطف من الله سبحانه وتعالى.
So you find that obviously there's going to be a clear distinction between a person who doesn't pray, who doesn't uphold the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when they will be affected, and a person who does hold fast to the tenets of Islam, that this is going to be a test of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon this individual, and still there's going to be some element of goodness towards that individual whilst they're going through this hardship.
يقول ابن القيم رحمه الله تعالى فهو يمد الساحر بأنواع الشياطين. يريم يعطيه حتى يؤذي الناس.
So you find that the Ibn Qayyim mentions that you find that he aids the magician to give him some strength or the ability to go and harm the individual they want to harm.
ثم يذكر الإمام ابن القيم رحمه الله تعالى جانب آخر يستغله الشيطان في إيذاء الناس.
And Ibn Qayyim then he mentioned that another format, another way that Shaitan avails or takes the opportunity to go and harm human beings.
يعلم أن هناك قوة خارقة عند الشخص بسبب العين وبسبب الحسد.
And you find that he knows that this person has some element of strength or something which is given to an individual, so he tries to harm or to try to take that away from the individual.
فيرسل الشياطين يتبعون أعين الناس أين تذهب حتى يحدثون ضرر مع تلك العين.
So you find that he sends the shaitan to go and try to afflict that individual with the evil eye to harm that individual.
وأيضا هم بأنفسهم الشياطين يحسدون بني آدم.
So we find that the shayateen themselves, they actually have an element of hatred or they have jealousy towards the children of Adam, of mankind.
يقول ابن القيم رحمه الله تعالى يبين أن الحسد أقوى وأخطر من السحر.
We find that Ibn Qayyim mentions that actually what is something even more powerful than magic is actually jealousy.
يقول قد يحتاج الساحر في سحره حسب قوة السحر أنه يقوم بأعمال كفرية حتى إبليس يعطيه مثلا عفريت أو مارد أو غير ذلك.
We find that when the sorcerers or the magicians that we find to be able to perform or to carry out their actions, they have to do so many actions of disbelief and evil action they need to do to actually get the jinn and the shayateen to aid them or to help them.
قالوا أما الحاسد والعائن فبدون أن يطلب منهم ويعطيهم.
And as for the person who shows jealousy or the person who throws the evil eye, then he gives to them without them necessarily have to do different actions or perform certain actions or allegiances to get that what they want.
لماذا؟ لأن أصل مشكلته مع آدم هو الحسد.
Because we find that the reason for all of this being made convenient and easy is because the reality of shaitan towards human beings is the concept of jealousy.
لهذا أيها الأحبة الله سبحانه وتعالى يسمع منه خير كاللوثة.
So you find that and I'm speaking to you now, they're gathering the utensils together and they're making like a tent inside the house.
أنا قلت هذه المرأة خرفت كبيرة في السن يعني ليست بعقلها.
She said that I thought that she's elderly in age and she's become slightly senile and she's exaggerating the situation what she's trying to highlight to me.
قلت لها ماذا تقولين أنت؟ قالت اليوم نحن جالسين في الطعام وجاء هذا اليد الذي يطحنون به. قال جاء من المطبخ في صحن الطعام وكلنا هربنا 8 أشخاص.
And she said that what happened today that we find that what they used the pot, the utensils to use to grind food, etc. That we find that this entered upon them, 8 of them sitting there and began to smack or began to hit the table.
قالت خذ كلم ابني كلمت ابنها كثير في السن قال نعم مثل ما قالت.
And she said that speak to my son, elderly son, and speak to him and he will explain to you exactly what's taking place or what I'm mentioning to you.
الكلام هذا له يمكن 27 سنة أو 26 سنة قبل يعني 26 سنة هذا الكلام.
Sheikh saying this happened some 26, 27 years ago.
ذهبت البيت عندهم في مكة.
So you went to the house inside Mecca.
تعال نسخل في مكة الشياطين ما تقول ضدي في مكة.
The person may think that how can there be devils, shayateen inside Mecca? How is that possible that even in Mecca these devils are going to be there?
دخلت البيت عندهم تلفاز.
So they entered into the house and they had a television there.
وكان في ذلك الوقت نظيف.
ما في
مثل الآن يعني البرامج التي موجودة الآن.
He said at that time when television used to be a clean television programs etc. was not what we find today on the television.
قلت لهم تخرج أي صور التلفاز هذا يخرج ما يبقى شيء يغضب الله في البيت.
And he said that you take this out of the house because this is something that would cause the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
قال والله اشتغل فيه الأخبار فقط والمسلسل اليومية التمثيلية وفيلم الكرتون والمصارعة فقط.
He said that there's nothing that we watch except for the daily news that we may watch or some mild drama we may watch or some cartoon program that we may watch. This is all that we may watch on a daily basis.
قلت لهم لابد هذا يقول هذا ما يرضي الله.
He said that indeed you need to get rid of this. This is not something which is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
قلت لهم لماذا ما تغير البيت؟ قال نحن أصلا كنا في البيت والآن جئنا شهرين ولحقونا إلى هذا البيت.
And he said that why don't you change the house? They said we just moved from one house and we came to this house. It's just been 2 months.
بدأوا في البرنامج بسورة البقرة والصلاة وهذه الأمور ما أخرجوا التلفاز. أصبحوا يعملون على آليتهم من المغرب إلى الفجر فقط نصف يوم.
So you find they began to strengthen themselves in reading Surah Al-Baqarah and becoming more punctual and regular with their prayers. And that this did not take the whole impact away from them. It just began that half the day of harm would still be existing inside their house.
يغلقون باب المطبخ من الداخل مغلق يشغلون المراوح يفتحون الشبابيك لهم هكذا.
You find that the kitchen door from inside will be closed, the windows will be open, the fans will be switched on automatically themselves.
ما انتهت هذه الآلية إلا حينما أخرجوا هذا التلفاز النظيف.
You find that this harm or this calamity, this hardship they're facing was not removed until they moved the television away from the home. And this is, remember, talking about 26, 27 odd years ago.
فإذا الإنسان الآن نرى يقول هل بيتي نظيف؟ يقول لا ليس نظيف.
And the person can they say that the house today is pure, the house is clean today?
لا بد أبنائك يشغلوا هذا في مرة فيه موسيقى وهذا في موسيقى وهذا.
We have to make sure that these cartoons or whatever the program, if our music is being displayed, being disseminated, to be switched off, to be removed.
الشياطين ما عندهم حاجز. إذا أنت غيرت هذا الحاجز حتى لو أنت مضطر ما عندهم مضطر، هم مدرك يسرق يفعل يؤذي.
So maybe you may be forced or coerced to do certain action. You find that this barrier that's placed there, once you remove that barrier or you give them an opening, then they're able to enter via that opening, the gap which is given to them to cause any mishaps.
كلنا يعلم أن الشياطين تسرق الإنسان. الشيطان يسرق.
We know that all of us know that the devil steals.
في هذا الزمن نسمع يا شيخ سرق المال من البيت ما أدري كيف سرق، نقول الشيطان، نقول كيف الشيطان يسرق.
In today's person, some money goes missing from their pocket, etc., and then they don't know how it's missing, and Satan is maybe stolen by shaitan. How is it possible shaitan could steal one's money?
أحدهم لابد تؤخذ منه ما يقارب 100 باوند شهريا، هكذا يأتي الراتب 100 باوند هذا لازم يأخذه.
You find that every month that from the person's salary £100 you need is taken away.
وأحدهم جاء يقول نصف الراتب يذهب يسرق.
One of them says that maybe half of my salary has been taken away.
وامرأة قالت والله يا شيخ عندي خزنة وضعتها للصدقة تسرق.
She said that a woman said that she had a box that placed money for sadaqah inside. They said that it was being stolen.
قالت وضعت ورقة اتقوا الله هذا مال صدقة سرق.
She said that I wrote on a piece of paper, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the wealth of sadaqah, and this was stolen as well.
وآخر عنده خزنة فيه الذهب لزوجته ب80,000 سرق الذهب ووجده ووجد في داخل الخزنة.
You find another person had in the treasure box had some 8,000 riyals worth of gold jewelry inside there, and then this was stolen and taken away. What was left was the defecation of a cat was left inside the treasure box.
قصص كثيرة في هذه.
You find out many stories regarding of money or wealth being missing.
وعندي صديق أصبح ما يحمل معه مال فقط بالبطاقة في البنك. إذا يحتاج شيء يسحب البطاقة.
And you find that one of his friends is just carrying any form of money with him except for the bank cards that he had.
قال والله ذات يوم أسمع الموبايل يقول تين أنظر يقول أنت سحبت كذا. أبحث عن البطاقة غير موجودة. بعد قليل وجدتها موضوعة فوق الطاولة.
He find that at one time that he found that once his card just went missing one day, and then all of a sudden he found that his bank card was upon the table, placed on the table, was lying there.
الناس ضجت كيف يكون هذا؟ إيش يحدث في العالم؟ قلنا هذا موجود في زمن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم.
So people may ask you, how is this possible? How can this take place? I mean, this was present at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
القصة في فضل آية الكرسي كلكم تعرفونها.
I think all of us we know about the virtue and story of Ayat al-Kursi that we find.
أن أبو هريرة كان حارس على مال الصدقة.
We find that Abu Hurairah was the one who is the guardian taking care of the wealth of sadaqah.
ويأتي ذلك الجن شكل امرأة مرة ومرة في شكل آخر يأخذ من هذا المال أبو هريرة يقبضه يسرق. أبو هريرة قبضه ويقول لا أفعلنك إلى صلى الله عليه وسلم فيقول اتركني وما أعود وأنا عندي أبناء وعندي كذا فيتركه.
And as we find in this famous narration whereby Abu Hurairah is guarding the wealth of sadaqah, we find that shaitan comes and he begins to complain and in disguise of a human being that I need wealth, I'm a poor family, and he's stealing some of the grains from there, and Abu Hurairah catches him and says, indeed I'm going to raise this affair to the Prophet, and then he begins to seek excuses that I have a poor family in need, etc., and he releases and lets him go.
يعني شوف قبضه ويخوفه بالرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم أيضا ما خاف يأتي اليوم الثاني يسرق.
So you find that in Umar he actually grabbed him and he reminds him, but he doesn't fear Allah, and he comes back the following day.
والرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم في كل يوم يقول لأبو هريرة ماذا فعل أسيرون؟ يقول يا رسول الله يقول سيعود فيرجع مرة أخرى يسرق.
And thus the Prophet every day or in the morning remind that indeed this individual is going to return and try to steal something again.
ففي الليلة الثالثة قال ما أتركك فقال اتركني أنا أعلمك أعظم شيء يعني نحن كلنا نخاف منه آية الكرسي فتركه فأخبر صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال أما إنه صدقك وهو كذوب.
And thus we find that on the final occasion Abu Hurairah decided he's not going to let him go free on this occasion, take him back to the Prophet. And this Shaitan said to him at that moment in time, I'm going to teach you something really great, something really, really important that will protect you every single night. He said, recite in the Ayat al-Kursi.
يعني في زمن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم وفي حياة الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم ومال صدقة يعني نظيفة وأحارس أبو هريرة صحابي ويقع هذا الأمر في ذلك الزمن النظيف. ما رأينا نحن في هذا الزمن.
So imagine, picture this, that this is the time of the Prophet ﷺ, that the wealth is pure, the people are pure, and if Shaitan is coming and he's stealing this wealth. So imagine in our time, in our era, why is this not going to be possible or plausible?
فهذا شيء ممكن وقوعه. لهذا الإنسان دائما مسألة التحصين، النظر في مسألة البيت كيف يكون، الغناء، تحصين الأبناء، قد ابن يعني يكون سبب في أن البيت كله يتغير.
And thus we find the forms of protecting and fortifying ourselves, and even from the television you mentioned, the music, etc. We find and guarding our children and preserving, protecting our children, because just one child or one individual can change the whole atmosphere of their house.
لهذا أيها الأحبة يعني ليس تخويفا، ولكن الإنسان لابد أن ينظر هذا الشيطان ماذا يصنع في بني آدم حتى يبدأ يعلم زوجته، فهي وهي مدرسة لهؤلاء الأبناء.
So that we find it's not to scare us away, to make us to lose hope, etc. Just to help us to know what we need to do inside our homes to protect ourselves, and likewise the mother, etc., our wife, etc., to know what they need to do, what needs to be done inside the house.
كم من الأبناء يصابوا بسبب خطأ من الأم، ضع ماء حار في مكان ما قالت بسم الله في بيتها، فيؤذى أحد أطفالها وتؤذى هي وينشأ وفي هذا الشيطان.
And thus we find that how many times we don't take the proportions and measurements that we find. It doesn't mention the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whereby the mother may drop or spill of water, may harm her, harm the child, etc. All of this is from Shaitan.
أبناؤنا يلعبون أمامنا ويسقطون، واحد يأتي رأسه مضروب، يده خرج منها شيء، نحن الذي نفعله معه نأخذه عند الطبيب أو نضع له تيب أو أي شيء نعالج، هذا لا يكفي.
So you find that sometimes the children just be playing and all of a sudden one of them drops and they get hurt, they begin to bleed, etc., get a bruise, and all that we do is just place a plaster or a form of treatment upon them. This is not sufficient, this will not suffice.
كم من الحالات تصاب بمس من الصغر ولا يكتشف إلا إذا كبر الإنسان.
And thus you find that how many elements of touching Shaitan, harming Shaitan during a young age are not discovered until a later stage when they're growing older.
الرجال قرأنا عليهم ينطق الجن الذي فيه يقول لأنه ضربني بالحجر قبل 10 أو 12 سنة.
And thus we find that many times we read done incantation, we recite the Quran from people being possessed or being harmed, etc. We find the jinn speaks and says, "This is you. I possessed this individual, harming this individual because they threw a stone 10 years ago that hurt me or hit me, and this is the reason for me possessing this individual." And some of them say that I was in the shape or form of a cat, and they threw a stone at me and they harmed me.
وبعضهم يقول هكذا يرمي بدون ما يقول بسم الله وجاء فيه حجر.
And thus you find that some of them may just throw a stone inside the air or out in the open ground and never mention the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it hit this shaitan, this jinn.
أحدهم كان يعمل في الجيش جاءنا مسروق.
An individual used to work inside the army. He came in the state of possession.
4 أشخاص مسروقين القاضي هو ضربني بحجر.
The jinn spoke and said that this individual hit me with a stone.
حينما أفاق ذلك الشخص وسألناه قال نعم، خرجنا في الليل وكان صديقي في الأمان فأمزح معه وأخذت حجر أرميه، لكن الحجر ما وصل، الحجر جاء هكذا في الهواء وسقط هكذا. قلنا هذا كان مجنون. قلت بسم الله، قال ما قلت بسم الله.
So this, when the person came to the senses and asked the individual, "Did you carry out such an action?" So I said, "Yes, that once we were out with our friends out in the night, and then just as a joke, we just threw a stone at one of our friends, other soldiers, just as a joke. But that did not hit that individual. Indeed, it went and it hit the shaitan, and he said to him, "Did you say the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you threw that stone? Did you do that? You just made it as a jest. It wasn't that important to say the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala."
الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول كفوا صبيانكم عند فوهة العشاء وقت الغروب، أبنائكم ما يخرجوا من البيت.
And that's the Prophet ﷺ, he advised and reminded us that when you shut the doors and do not let the young children come out during the night time.
لماذا؟ قال فإن للشياطين انتشارا وخطفة يخطفون.
And thus we find that indeed at that time we have the shayateen that they come out and they spread, and they have this overwhelming, this coming at that time that they're able to overcome individuals.
الآن واحد يقولنا لو نريد التأكيد الساعة 5 يقول 5 لا زحام ما أخرج في هذا الوقت.
And that's why if a person says to an individual, don't come out at a certain time, and it's a busy time, etc., none of us will come out at that time because of the danger and the traffic, etc. there. And the Prophet is now telling us the shayateen, the devils, at that time, and we don't pay no attention, we just brush it aside.
جاء في تفسير خطفة أنهم يخطفون خطفا حقيقيا أو تخطف عقولهم فيصبح مثل ليس إنسان غير عاقل.
And that's we find they explain this word of خطفة, of snatching and taking it carries the meaning of.
إما أنه يخطفه يغيبه يختفي ووقع مثل هذا.
And actually taking away that, snatching away and taking away the mind and the senses of the individual can actually carry that meaning as being explained.
ولذا جاء عن الإمام يحيى بن معين أحد شيوخ البخاري.
And as has been mentioned about Imam Yahya al-Ma'in, one of the Shaykh, the teachers of Imam Bukhari.
أنه رجع ذات اليوم إلى بيته فوجد ابنه مات في الهواء مرفوع.
One day he returned home, he found that his son is up in the air.
فقرأ آية الكرسي فنزل.
And he read Ayat al-Kursi and then he came back down again.
وقال له ادخل أصلحك الله كم مرة أقول لك ما تخرج في هذا الوقت.
And he said, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rectify your fear. How many times I told you not to come out at this time?
وكان ربما دخل بيته فيقرأ آية الكرسي. الإمام يحيى بن معين.
So you find that Imam Yahya entered his house and recited Ayat al-Kursi.
فسمع ذات يوم صوت يقول له تقرأ أو ما تقرأ ما ينفع.
He said that he heard a voice saying that whether you recite, you don't recite, it won't benefit you.
قال فقرأها 50 مرة.
And he said that he read it 50 times.
هذا إمام شيخ كبير.
And this is an Imam, this is a Shaykh, and he was well known.
نحن الواحد يدخل بيته يصرخ ويخرج يصرخ.
And then we find that we enter the house, we're shouting, we're screaming, leave the house, we're shouting, we're screaming.
فلهذا يا الحبة هناك أذى حقيقي يبينه لنا المصطفى عليه الصلاة والسلام.
And thus we find that there is actually a physical harm that the Prophet explained to us that would actually take place.
فلا بد علينا أن نحصن بيوتنا ونعلم زوجاتنا ونعلم أطفالنا.
And thus it becomes incumbent upon us to preserve our homes, to preserve our family members, and protect our homes.
الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول أن لكل بيت عمار من الجن.
We find the Prophet explained that for every single home there are jinns that are present, shayateen that are present there.
فلا بد في طعامنا شرابنا صلاتنا حركاتنا كلها نتنبه ودائما نتعود وبسم الله على لساننا.
And that's what we need to preserve and protect our food, our drink, our homes, etc. And always have the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon the tips of our tongue, etc.
الوقت انتهى ولا الكلام كثير. أسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن ينفعنا بكل الذي سمعنا وأن يحفظنا وإياكم والمسلمين والمسلمات من كل سوء.
Sheikh, we have to stop there, inshallah, and Sheikh will hopefully inshallah take questions with the brother. Sheikh will take the question and answer inshallah until Maghrib. We'll have to get to another masjid by Maghrib time inshallah, so do excuse for stopping in the middle inshallah.
Any question? نعم تفضل. الصوت مرتفع جدا بالعربي والانجليزي.
بالنسبه للصور يعني الكتب موجوده هل يكفي انها تضع في الدولاب او كده؟ I'm asking the Sheikh about the pictures because we have books at home magazine. Is it sufficient just to put it in a drawer or something?
فهمت السؤال؟ ما سمعت السؤال.
Does everyone understand the question? Everyone understand the question? The brother's asking, is it sufficient that we just put away the pictures? Was it not to the Shaykh?
هناك فتاوى للعلماء منهم الشيخ الحكيم رحمه الله تعالى يقول هذه من الأشياء التي عمت فيها البلية.
There are some fatwa that Sheikh Uthaymeen rahmatullah alayh has said that this has overwhelmed the believers, the Muslims today.
فقال إن شاء الله الإنسان إذا أخفى هذه الصور في درج أو كذا إن شاء الله ما في.
So the Sheikh rahmatullah alayh said if you were to put them away in your drawers and things like that, there shouldn't be a problem.
فاتقوا الله ما استطعتم.
So fear Allah as much as you can.
ولكن الحقيقة الشيء الذي رأيناه نحن في الحالات.
Then in reality, what we've seen in our cases that we deal with in concerning ruqya,
أنه يعني ما زال في أذى بسبب هذه الأشياء.
So as long as there is pictures in the house, there are certain basically holes, loopholes that jinns try to use.
ولذا بعض الإخوة إذا دخل بيته يخرج أي شيء في صورة ويضعه على جانب. طبعا هذا صعب.
Of course, in reality, it's very difficult to, before you enter your home, take all your pictures out and put them away somewhere outside your home. It's impossible. But we know that it has some form of an effect.
نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يحفظنا.
We pray to Allah Azza wa Jalla to protect us all.
في مسألة هامة معلش طبعا دخلنا في الصور. بعضهم يقلب صورته إلى رسم ما يجوز.
So some will trace their picture from a picture to a drawing. This is not allowed.
وبعضهم يمزح ويلعب بالوجه يضع الفم هنا ويضع العين. هذا غير في خلق الله ودخل في حكم المصورين ولو أنه ما صور فصل.
So the Sheikh is talking maybe an apps that on phones that when you start playing with the facial features, adding horns and ears in different places, this is totally not allowed, and this is actually a big sin. And it goes into the ones who are drawers that will be punished on the Qiyamah. It goes into that.
وبعضهم يمزح يضع صورة وجه الشخص في داخل شكل امرأة فيصبح عنده شعر امرأة يصبح كأنه أنثى. كل هذا حرام. هذا الذي يتساهل فيه الناس. كل هذا ما ينفع.
So all these apps that people are using, changing features like from a man to a woman, a man to a monkey or pig, and so on and so forth, this is totally not allowed and should not be practiced. It's forbidden.
بعضهم يقول ترى أنا مسحتها أنا كنت ألعب. نقول ستأتيك يوم القيامة كله موجود.
Some will say I've wiped it, I've deleted it. It's still يوم القيامة it will haunt you.
إلا إذا مسحها وتاب. مش أمسح وأفعل مرة أخرى.
Except if you repent and you don't go back to it, then inshallah we know that's finished.
Somebody told me that all snakes are jinn. Is that the case?
هل صحيح. The brother asked the question, are all snakes jinns?
لا ليس صحيح طبعا.
No, of course this is not correct.
يعني الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم بين لنا أننا إذا رأينا ثعبان في البيت نحرج عليه. خارج البيت ما تحرج عليه. ممكن تقتله.
The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has shown us or taught us that we only discourage a snake that enters our home. That's the snake that we tell to leave the home, and that's the snake that we're aware, take heed of that it might be some form of a jinn.
نعم.